Hello. I want you to look at me. I want you to look at my face if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening to it, just perceive me. Just perceive my face. I feel very uncomfortable doing this. I hate being perceived, which is very ironic because I literally just exist on the internet for a living, but that's a different conundrum. Do you have a picture of me in your head, or are you looking at me? Okay. What race do you think I am? Just take a guess. If you're watching this on YouTube, please comment it. And if you already know, sit this little social experiment out. This is for the people who might not be aware or who just don't know. I'm acting like it's like a monumental thing. Like, you don't know what my race is. No. Okay, did you comment it? Did you think about it? Did you ponder it? Good. Today we're talking about race and all the little complexities and weird little things that I've experienced being someone who is a mix of a bunch of them, and doesn't necessarily have I personally don't think that like when someone looks at me they can immediately just know what race I am, and it's a very kind of isolated case that I have, because it's like most people, you look at them and you pretty much know what race they are, or you can think, okay, they're white mixed with something else. But I'm about to read y'all my 23andMe results and set the record straight. Let's get into this right after this quick break. Hello. Roblox has been charging me like $20 a month for Robux, which I play that game twice a month at most, and I was able to stop that subscription and a bunch of other useless ones that have been sucking me like a mosquito every single month, thanks to Rocket Money. Okay, Rocket Money is a service that shows you all your subscriptions in one place and helps you cancel the ones that you don't want. It truly is an angel. It's basically like a mosquito zapper, you know, like the ones that like, it looks like a tennis racket, but then just absolutely eviscerates mosquitoes. Think of that as Rocket Money, baby. You can even find out if you've been double charged for a subscription with it. So it's got a lot of uses, and I like it very much. So get rid of useless subscriptions with Rocket Money now. Go to rocketmoney.com/drama. Seriously, it could save you hundreds per year. That's rocketmoney.com/drama. Cancel your unnecessary subscriptions right now at rocketmoney.com/drama. Thank you for sponsoring this episode. I need to cancel my dry mouth that I have for some reason right now. Let's continue. All right. I did a 23andMe test a while ago. I don't think I've ever fully gone into it online. So here we go. This is all, I'm just going to read them all off. If I say the percentage, it's going to take too long. Essentially, I'm half white, half a whole mix of Asian. So we got French, we got German, we got Portuguese, we got Spanish, we got Southern Indian, we got Sri Lankan, we got Bengali, we got Pakistani, we got Malayali. I don't even know where that is. We got broadly Central and South Asian. We got Chinese. We got South Chinese. We got Indonesian. We got Thai. We got Khmer. We got Myanmar. We got Vietnam. Bitch, we got Iran. So, do you see me walking around pretending like I know Chinese? No. Do you see me speaking French? Hell no. How do you say no in French? I know oui. I don't know beyond that. Do you see me like sprechen Sie Deutsch, speaking German? No. I'm saying all this because I'm basically completely detached from any race that I am, essentially. And it's not to say that I haven't grown up like in the cultures that are associated with these races. For example, like my grandma speaks French, and she would cook like German food sometimes because my grandpa spoke German. So like I'd have like sausage rolls, or no, not sausage rolls, cabbage rolls, bruh, cabbage rolls. And then on my dad's side, I would have Indian food a lot of the time. My grandma made lots of samosas. I wasn't the biggest fan of Indian food, but that's besides the point. But what I want to talk about today isn't like any of those identities really. It's the ones I like get mistaken for, and just how silly, just how silly it can get. Okay, in the social media world, there's there's a lot of like your identity is something that a lot of people use, whether it be for their content or just kind of like it's something that they feature in their presence online a lot of the time. It's not really something that I do, and I'm not saying there's anything like good or bad about doing that necessarily. Like live your truth, like share your culture with the world. Like we love to see it. But like it's always been like interesting for me because I've never really felt like tied to any one culture. I'm just kind of me. I'm just kind of like out here existing. But things got so silly for me when I started social media because I started getting opportunities that were meant for races that I 100% am not. So early on in my social media career, I got invited. This started with me getting invited to, it was called like the BET experience or something. It was basically like this big convention hall, and it was put on by BET, which is, I think it stands for Black Entertainment Television. It's like a television network, focuses mostly on like black shows, music, stuff like that. They invited me to come to their experience as like a creator. I believe I had to like post a TikTok or something for it. And I said yes because I thought it was cool, and I was at a point in my like social media career where I was just like saying yes at like any opportunity, like literally like yarn makers of America could be like, we are having the annual yarn convention. Would you like to come and post TikTok for us? I'd be like, yes, sign me up. Now, not so much. Now I kind of avoid leaving the house like the fucking plague and have fled North America to Japan. Partially because that's too much. We'll get into that another day. But I went to this BET experience, and it was really cool. I had a blast. There was like a bunch of kind of like booths. There was like a few performances. I got a picture with Sweetie, which was a very chaotic experience in itself. We were told that like we had to go make a TikTok with Sweetie to promote her new song, but then she literally just didn't show up to where we were supposed to meet up with her, and then there was like almost like a little crowd crush situation, and it got a little hairy, but that's besides the point. What like really kind of threw me off though was like like out of all the creators we were with, I was the only one that wasn't black. And at first I didn't like think too much of it, but then I kind of thought like, well, like why was I invited here? Like what purpose am I serving here? Like not saying that like only black people can go to the BET experience. Not my call in the slightest, but it was just a little kind of interesting to me, but I didn't think much of it until I got invited to another BET event. It was like it was like the BET Awards pre-show or something, and it was like a big concert event. There's a bunch of artists that performed. There was a lot of artists that I really enjoyed, and then I kind of like thought like, oh my god, dude, like I think they might think that I maybe am like partially mixed race or black. And I know that sounds like ridiculous. Like I know like probably I look nothing like I have any sort of like African American DNA in me, and I don't. But it was very like I felt like I was taking up space that wasn't mine, and it made me feel a little weird, and that I just kind of brushed off, like, for the most part, because like it was kind of like two events, like, kind of like a one-off situation, or so I thought. Then a few like months later, I started getting Hispanic heritage packages in the mail from different brands. I don't want to name them. I don't want to like call them out, but like all of this, like I was just in my house one day, get a big box at the door from like UPS. I open it up and it's like, we want to celebrate all of you Hispanic creators. And I was like, all of you? What do you mean by that? And I opened it up and it was like all these it was like all these like things like celebrating like Hispanic heritage. There's like some food, some like some shirts and stuff. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what? Why did I get this? And I've never said that I am any part Hispanic in the slightest. I know Ancestry DNA says I have part Spain DNA, but that's like white. Like that's not really that's not Hispanic. The closest thing I can there's two theories I have on this. Either A, like they heard me say that I speak Spanish, because there was a good period of time like between 2019 and 2020 where I was like really on the grind to like learn Spanish. I was I was in that Duolingo and using this website called Lingoda, which kind of sucks. Don't use it. To learn Spanish. And I was kind of like public about like me learning Spanish, but also just like for fun, I'd say hola. Like I love saying hola. So I think there's a chance that they saw that and assumed that I was Hispanic. Or B, I think they straight up just guessed. Like they just looked at me and they're like, yep, he's Hispanic. Like add him to the list, add him to the PR. So first I got this Hispanic Heritage Month box. Then second, I got invited to this was recently, this was like a few months ago. I got invited to this Hispanic Heritage Month gala dinner thing. And I declined because like I know the food would have been amazing, but that's not my place. Like, hello? And then completely different brand made this they posted on all their social media. They posted on Instagram, they posted on Twitter, probably Facebook, I don't know. Saying like shout out to all our Hispanic creators. We see you. I was included in it. There's a picture of me. So I started to like kind of feel guilty. I was like, oh my god, like is this my fault? Like do I have like a moral obligation to like constantly like say what race I am to avoid this? But I don't think so. I don't think the responsibility is on me to just like make public knowledge of what type of like person I am. Even though I'm doing that now, just to get it out of the way. But it just felt so weird. It felt so weird. And they ended up deleted the tweet and then deleted the slide of me on the Instagram post. But I started seeing I saw this other unrelated TikTok the other day, and it was talking about how so many like brands or brand agencies that hand out brand deals to creators like will have a list saying like the creator and then what race they are. And I'm so curious to see what it says about me. I'm so like genuinely, if you work in a brand agency or something and you want to like DM me like under the table and like let me know what your brand thinks I am so curious. That's part of the reason why I started this episode asking y'all to tell me like what race you think I am. Because yeah, like if I don't say it, it puts me in a really weird position, but I don't feel like saying it because, and it's not, I'm not ashamed to be any race that I am. Like I love the little mix that I am. Like I'm having a jolly old time, but I just don't feel like it's relevant to bring up really. But I kind of feel the need to now because all of a sudden I'm getting mistaken for other races, which is not good. So I want to get into kind of the effects like the effects of that, of like just picking races for people or picking people for certain things because of their race. We'll get into that right after this quick break. All right, you heard me talk about how I use Rocket Money earlier, but are you wasting money on subscriptions? 80% of people, 80% have subscriptions that they forgot about, okay? It's a lot of people. That is probably you. Let's look inside ourselves real quick and think that's probably you. But you can be for sure by using Rocket Money and seeing all the different subscriptions that you're getting charged for every single month, okay? It's a good way to keep track of your expenses, especially ones you don't need or want, like Robux. I do have a lot of Robux though, so like I'm never gonna be Robux broke. Like let me be so real. To cancel subscription with Rocket Money, all you have to do is press cancel. Like literally just press cancel, and then Rocket Money takes care of the rest. So seamless, so easy. You can find subscriptions you didn't know you're paying for, and find out if you've been double charged for a subscription. So you can get rid of useless subscriptions with Rocket Money now. Just go to rocketmoney.com/drama. Seriously, it could save you hundreds per year. That's rocketmoney.com/drama. Cancel your unnecessary subscriptions right now at rocketmoney.com/drama. Thank you for sponsoring this episode. Let's continue. Okay. So I talked about how I got mistaken for races that I just am not. And I want to talk about kind of the broader scope of I really like have been struggling to articulate this, like even just like in my own head, like like how to approach this topic. I think that obviously like the need for diversity is so important. Like there's so many gaps, whether it be like across the board. Like you look at any kind of industry, like you're not going to see a lot of people of color compared to what it should be, compared to like the actual like ethnic breakdown of the country. Like whatever it might be, so, like I don't know, what is it, like 40% of the country is like maybe people of color, 60% is white. You're not like seeing that 40%. Like say you have like a cast of a TV show, it's probably going to be more white people than people of color, which doesn't accurately reflect the racial breakdown of the country. And I think that's what we should strive to have, is having like opportunities that were historically difficult or impossible for people of color to get. I think we need to have more opportunities for like people of color to fill those spots. But I do think that like we just need to have whatever like a TV cast, a movie cast. Anytime you have like a group of people, I think it should like the Supreme Court, like the House of Representatives. I listen, I don't know anything about United States politics, so like don't even ask me about that. But like it should be representative of the people. So I think like where this tends to happen, where like we get into these problems with race, where like I think companies are quick to just fill in blanks with like for example, like I was part of this group of TikTokers that was put together by a company. I don't want to say what it was, but I was like very kind of like an odd duck out. Like I barely had any followers and my content was so random, but I was picked for this group of people and they all had like so many more followers than me. And I was like, why? Like, Loki, why am I here? And it was like almost all kind of white people for the most part. And then there was like me and like maybe a few other like maybe two other people, like brown people. And I kind of like the theory I have is I was picked like kind of for diversity. I think that this company like realized that their roster for this group of TikTokers was looking a little bit white and they needed like a little bit of spice, a little bit of Indian spice in it or something. And it made me feel like a little strange. Like I was obviously glad to have the opportunity, but I like very much didn't fit in. Like A, because of like my content, and B, because of like how many followers I had, or just kind of like my success level at the time. It was very low. I was just like making like literally brain dead content. It was so bad. But I think that like obviously diversity is such a like I don't it's probably impossible to ever get it right, and I don't think there is a right way to like tackle diversity in any industry, really. I think obviously like we should work towards having it be most reflective of the people of the nation, but I think like where the most problems get run into is like corporations that are trying to be like inclusive and just like do it horribly. So like what really blows my mind is like companies that will like use diversity for profit, like say for example like a company that will have an ad that features like there's like maybe one white person and then there's like a nice multicultural family and then there's like a group of like people of color all laughing around, and then you look at the actual company and it's like white CEO, white like the entire executive team is just all white people. Like that is so performative, and it's just using diversity as a means for profit, which I think is really gross. But another reason why I think like a lot of the diversity efforts made by like companies, I guess around the world, like I'm like kind of talking just about like North America, but like around the world, like the way I really know they don't give a fuck about minorities is like you could see a brand, you could see like Apple be like, shout out to the Asian Pacific Islander community, all the Asian Americans, we love you. Meanwhile, like they're literally using like Chinese workers in a factory and paying them like scraps and making them work like 18-hour shifts and installing suicide nets on the windows so that they can't kill themselves because their job is so brutal. Like, that's when I really realized that these companies don't give a fuck about diversity. They give a fuck about profits. That's all it really boils down to. Like, if you want to pretend to care about diversity, that extends beyond where you can make money. Okay? Just because there's people in China or anywhere outside the world that can't participate in American capitalism doesn't mean that they don't exist. Okay? Like, that companies are very like kind of specific with their wording whenever it's anything kind of diversity related. Like, they'll always say Asian American, or like let's take that for example, like Asian American. They're never going to actually give a fuck about like all Asian people. It's only the people that can buy their products. Like, say for example, let's just use like a random ass brand. Dick's Sporting Goods. Dick's Sporting Goods. Let's say they make an Instagram post being like, shout out to all the Asian Americans. They're saying that because they know that their like 90% of the clothes that they're making are being made in sweatshops in Bangladesh, in India, in China, where they're not celebrating those motherfuckers. No, they are paying them 4 cents an hour or 4 cents a garment, and they are literally living in horrible conditions. So, and, you know, there's an argument to be made being like, well, I mean, say Dick's Sporting Goods. Like, obviously they don't have stores in Bangladesh, so, like, you might think, why would they care about people in Bangladesh? But it's such, like, you can't, like, fake care about diversity if you don't want to care about people of that race regardless of their nationality. Like, and the reason to that is because people that say are Asian but don't live in the US, they can't support that company financially by buying their products, so they don't give a fuck about them. And that's what it boils down to. Like, until companies, like, until say like Apple or something will make it so their workers in Asia have the same rights as their workers, say their Asian American workers in California, they don't give a fuck about diversity. And it's as simple as that. So let's continue. Now, I do want to say, like, how powerful, like, diversity, like, can be. Like, I remember growing up, like, I want to say, like early 2000s media and movies and stuff really did not have, like, I would not see, like, Indian people, really. And I'm using that as an example because that's, like, I guess, like, kind of, like, my most visible ethnic makeup. I don't know. I just, like, wouldn't see Indian people in movies. And if I did, it was always, like, a joke. They'd be like, eh. It'd be like fucking Apu from Simpsons. Like, that's the representation that Indian people were getting. And, like, there was never an Indian person, like, at the head of a Marvel movie. Or, actually, I was going to say CEO, but I think there is, like, quite a few Indian CEOs. But, I mean, still, obviously not as many as, like, Indian people in America, but let's curtail that point. So the first, like, when I saw what's, like, Eternals, and saw, I think his name is, it starts with a K. The Indian guy from Eternals whose name starts with a K. I was like, damn, this is cool. This is cool to see. And I think Eternals was like if we want to look at, like, diversity checklist, bada bing bada boom, I think, like, Eternals was like that's like a very ethnic representation of, say, the American population. And as I'm saying this out loud, I'm realizing this example is breaking down because, like, literally some of the characters are, like, British and stuff, and then there's, like, different ethnic makes up of that country. But I also want to say, like, that doesn't necessarily mean, like, we have to, like, anytime we're, like, there's a company or we are, like, casting for a movie, it has to be exactly, like, we have to have one black person, we have to have one Chinese person, we have to have 3 white people. Like, no, like, that's not what I mean. I think diversity can be so, like, I think it's a problem if there's no diversity, if, like, it's all white people or all people of one race. That's a problem. But I think it's also a problem if we're just picking people for certain roles, regardless of what it is, like, because of their race. That's kind of what rubbed me the wrong way. Back to, like, the TikTok group, that's me assuming that I was picked because of my race, which I don't want to get into what the actual thing was. But from context clues, I think that's what it was. I think I was picked because they needed a little diversity fill. They needed to have a extra brown person or something. But back to like representation, I think that there's, like, still a long ways to go. Like, there still hasn't been, I don't think, like a blockbuster superhero movie where, like, an Indian person was, like, the main character, which really is crazy because there's, like, there's, like, 1 point something billion Indian people on Earth. Like, we can get a Marvel movie, come on now. But to wrap things up, I think, oh, okay, my iPad just fell over. I feel very uncomfortable talking about race because on one hand, I am very white passing a lot of the time, like, very, very much white passing. But on the other hand, sometimes I am not. Like, there's certain situations, like, say in the summer, like, when I was a kid, I would get so tan, and, like, you would not think that I was, like, even white. But then other times I'm like, I literally don't go outside for the entire winter, and the next thing you know, I look like fucking mayonnaise. So that's another thing that's, like, very, very kind of fluid, and that's not something that people like to kind of think about, like, race being fluid, because obviously I am just the races that I am, and when I get tan, that's literally just the sun, and I don't even like getting tan because I get sunburnt. So I'm not, like, trying to look like a different race one way or the other, but it's something that happens. Sometimes I am more white passing, and sometimes I am less white passing. And that is just, like, that is just something that breaks people's brains sometime. And to play devil's advocate here, I disagree with, like 90% of what Nikita Dragon says and does, and I think she tackles race in a wrong way a lot of the time. Like, when she tweeted, like, what race will Nikita Dragon beat today? But I remember people were looking at older pictures of her, being like, you look so white here, and then other pictures of her where she would look very tan. And some of them were, she was very clearly blackfishing. She was very clearly, like, attempting to look black. Like, it'd be a mixture of, like, darker skin plus, like, her hairstyle, stuff like that. But there was a few pictures where it was literally just her tan. And I kind of, like, I kind of saw myself in Nikita Dragon. This podcast is getting deleted. But I was like, that can be a real thing. Nikita Dragon, a horrible example. But race and your perceived race can be fluid because, like, skin color changes. Okay? Like, that's not a crazy thing to say. Tans, like, happen. For me, I've never wanted to be one race or the other. I've just accepted that in the summer, I get a little toasty. And in the winter, I look like I am a hard-boiled egg sometimes. But it's hard to... And I've had people accuse me of, like... not, like, that many... Like, this isn't, like, a big, widespread issue. But I've had people in the past, like, tweet me being like, what is this, Ben? And it's, like, a picture of me, like, super tan from, like, 2019 in, like, August. They're like, why are you blackfishing? I'm like, huh? So I can't go out in the sun anymore? Like, what are we talking about here? Have y'all lost your damn minds? at the end of the day, like, I don't have an answer for it. I think there's still so much about race that people just don't take into consideration. And at the end of the day, just don't maybe guess people's races. Maybe just as a rule of thumb, don't do that. I personally didn't take offense to it. Obviously, I wasn't like, oh, they invited me to the Hispanic Heritage one dinner. I was like, no, like, I would have loved to go. I love dinner. Like, I'm gonna be fucking real with you. I love eating dinner, but I just felt uncomfortable because it's not my place. It's not my culture. It's not my race. That rhymed so well. I feel I'm just gonna end the episode because that rhymed so well. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know your thoughts. If you are mixed race, let me know what your experience has been with that. That it's such a, like, you can have so many different crazy discussions, like being mixed race, being like white, say like white and black or white and Asian. There's so many different like complexities that come with like all those different mixes. So I really am curious to hear like your guys' personal experiences or just your general thoughts. And with that being said, I love you all so much. I'll see you next Wednesday. Take care. I was gonna say like bye in like an Indian language, but I don't know any of it. So goodbye. Love you so much. Oh, I can say it in French. Au revoir.